If you've got knee pain when you're running, you've probably been told you've got weak glutes, you're overpronate and you need stability shoes, or you might have been told it's something like your IT band. But for most runners, the actual cause isn't any of them. And by treating the wrong one, you might actually be making it worse. Or you're just not solving the problem, so you could get months down the line and you'll be no better off. Before we get into what's causing your knee pain and how to fix it, I've created a free tool which is a knee pain scorecard. And all you need to do is answer a few questions and you'll get a knee recovery score, you'll get some tips, and it'll tell you if your knee's irritated, injured, and what to do next. And to get that, just go to the link in the description below and fill in your details. But for now, let's get into it and I'll give you a reminder about that at the end of the video. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Aaron, I'm a sports therapist and I work across 2 different clinics in Lincolnshire. And I see runners every single week, and a lot of them suffer with knee pain, just like you. And the one thing most of them don't realise is that runner's knee isn't actually a diagnosis. It's just a symptom of something else. It's basically your body telling you something's not quite right and giving you a little nudge that you need to do something about it. But that something that's off could be one of 5 things, or it could be 5 things. And the fix for one might cause the other one to get worse. So it's important that you know what's causing your knee pain so that you treat the right problem and get good results. I've explained knee pain a bit like a bucket before. So you start with an empty bucket, and there's loads of things that can add a little bit of water to make your bucket fill up. That could be the amount of running you're doing. If you're doing loads of running, you put loads of water in. If it's high intensity running, again, that would add a little bit in. If you've got poor recovery, sort of poor sleep, poor nutrition, you add a little bit more in, and eventually that all builds up, and the bucket overflows, and that's what's causing pain, or that's an injury. But this is where a lot of runners get stuck. They see the overflowing bucket and think, that's my IT band, so I'll concentrate on that. Or they might think, well, it's my shoes, I've got the wrong type of shoes. So they change the shoes and think that'll solve the problem. And that's the problem. They're focusing on one specific issue, which is only one drop of water, where the bucket's still filling from different directions. So stopping one drop isn't going to stop all the rest of the taps pouring into your bucket. And that is why the problem is not getting solved. You're not addressing the fact that everything's pouring in, you're just mopping up the spillage from one small issue. So what you're essentially doing is treating the symptoms, not the cause. And treating the cause is how we solve the problem. But don't panic. Once you know which taps are open, what's causing the spillage, you know exactly how to turn them off, which ones to turn off, and how to fix the problem. And that's what we're going to go through now. So the first thing that really matters is, where is the pain? And that's where a lot of generic knee pain advice, especially when it comes to running, falls apart. ChatGPT will see knee pain and just treat it as one thing. You might Google knee pain when running, and again, that'll focus on one issue. But where your knee pain is can give you some huge clues as to what's causing it. And that's because that location can give you a direct sign of the actual tissue or structure that's irritated. And if you know that, you're halfway there in terms of where to start your focus. If your pain's on the outside of the knee, then that could be your IT band, or it could be something like your lateral cartilage or meniscus. And IT band pain typically starts to come in at around a similar time within your run. And that's typically around 2 to 3 kilometers in. And then when you stop, the pain eases off. If your pain's at the front or around the kneecap, that's usually something we call patellofemoral pain, which is essentially where your femur, your thigh bone, and your patella, your kneecap, are rubbing and become irritated. And it's really common in runners. It's usually because the kneecap itself isn't moving as smoothly as it should be. It might be slightly off, or it could just be inflamed, and it's rubbing on the structures underneath. A big sign here is that it's really painful going downstairs or down hills, or you could notice it if you've been sat down for a while and then you get up. If you're getting pain on the inside of your knee, that's hinting towards your MCL, which is the medial ligament within your knee. You'll most commonly know about this if you suffer some kind of trauma, so in a football tackle, for example, but it can also be linked to the way your foot tracks or how everything loads as you land. Now, just to throw a curveball in, you might have a bit of an overlap. Pain that kind of moves around a little bit, and it's not always in one place. And again, that's common, but if you can identify the primary location, the location that hurts the most, is most frequent, potentially when it started, then that's the first step in terms of sorting it out. So, once you know whereabouts it hurts and you've identified that, the next thing we need to look at is your load. And that's not just how much you're running and how many miles you're racking up. Most runners actually have strong knees. We rack up a lot of miles, and our knees have adapted to be able to cope with that. But injuries and pain normally occur when the load that we're putting our knees through and our body's ability to recover don't quite match up. So if your training is up here, you might be training for a race, but your recovery is down here, then that gap, that mismatch, is where the injury lives. But it's not just mileage. It can be intensity, how many hard runs you do compared to how many easy runs. It can be frequency. Are you giving yourself enough time to recover between two different runs and doing that continuously over time? It could be speed work, intervals, if you're doing more hill training, suddenly going from treadmill training to road running. For example, going from treadmill training in the winter to road running when it gets a little bit nicer outside. And all of that counts. Now, don't panic. You don't necessarily need to stop running, but you do probably need to make a few little changes. For most people, the quickest win is usually reducing intensity and load, at least in the short term. Make more of your runs genuinely easy. If you're doing 3 hard runs a week and every single one feels like a race, then you're probably pushing it too far. Which brings us nicely to recovery. And that's typically made up of 3 main things. The first one's sleep. You want to be aiming for between 6 and 9 hours of sleep a night. So if you're only getting about 5, then your body isn't recovering from those tiny little micro damages that your muscles are going through while you're training. And as a dad of a 1-year-old, I appreciate that isn't always possible. But even just going to bed 30 minutes earlier, that little amount of time makes a big difference. The second is nutrition. You need enough fuel for your body to repair. And this comes a bit of an issue, especially for people aiming to lose a bit of weight. If you're training hard and you're in a calorie deficit because you're trying to lose a bit of body fat, then it can be really hard to balance those two things. But if your body's not getting enough protein and carbs to be able to recover and repair the damages that it's gone through during your training, then that's only going to build up and cause injury down the line. So you need to make sure you're eating the right amount of food and the right types of food. Protein's a big one because it obviously helps our muscles and connective tissue repair. So you want to aim for about 1.2 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. It doesn't need to be complicated. You don't need to calorie count really. You don't need to look at all the macros on every meal you eat. You don't need to add up all the ingredients for each meal. Just focus on protein, make sure you're getting enough. Do the maths and times sort of 1.4 to go down the middle by your kilogram of body weight, and that's how much protein you need to aim for. So that's just one number you need to focus on, and that will have a big effect on how much your body can recover. On the third one, when we think about recovery, is the main one, and it's actual recovery between sessions, how much you rest. And it seems obvious, but after a long run or a hard run, like an interval session, your body needs a lot more time to recover than it does if you were to just go down and do a 5K easy run. So to go back to the bucket analogy, if you're doing hard runs sort of every day, or you're doing a lot of hard runs in a small space of time, then your bucket is going to fill up a lot quicker than if you're spacing them out a bit more and adding easy runs in between. Now, you're going to hate me because I know runners don't like this, but strength training is really important when it comes to injury prevention. And I know you want to run, not spend time in the gym pumping weights, but let me explain why it's really important. Your knee doesn't work just on its own. It's got the hip, the ankle, and the muscles around it kind of all kicking in at the same time. If your hips are weak, then your knee has to take a bit of that load. If your calves are weak or your ankle mobility is poor, then again, your knees take the load of that. If your glutes are weak, that has a knock-on effect to how your femur twists, your thigh bone, and again, that changes the position of your knee, how it adapts force while you're running, and changes your gait. So it all links together. And the fix doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to spend 2 hours in the gym. Just 2 sessions a week of 20 to 30 minutes focusing on single leg strength makes a massive difference when it comes to injury prevention. Things like single leg squats, step ups, calf raises, glute bridges, anything that's sort of sport specific and the movement can translate into your running. The goal isn't to become a bodybuilder or a powerlifter. It's just to make your body a little bit more resilient so that it can cope with the demands of running. Because doing step by step by step for an hour or 2 hours is intense. It might not look it or feel it at the time because each step on its own isn't relatively intense. But if you do that in over and over and over again, you wouldn't go to the gym and do a bicep curl for 2 hours, but you would go for a run for 2 hours. So your body has to deal with that force, and if it can be stronger and more resilient, then you're less likely to get injured. Now this is one not a lot of people talk about, and that's daily stress. Your body doesn't know the difference between being stressed at work and stressed through running, but they're actually very similar in terms of physiological response. Things like cortisol, inflammation, and reduced recovery. And these happen if you're stressed because you've got a deadline at work, you're stressed because your daughter's driving you mad, or you're stressed because you're training really hard. Those things and those natural reactions still happen either way. So a lot of people come to me and they say, I haven't changed anything in terms of my training, but my knee pain's increased and I'm really struggling to run. But then after a while, when we unlock what's been going on, what's changed, what they're going through at work, what they're going through in their personal life, and we find out that they've had terrible sleep because something's happened at work, their kids teething, so they're not sleeping very well, they've got to do a lot of travel at the minute, and then it becomes clear that that's probably having a knock-on effect to the knee pain. So it's not just about when you're actually running, it's looking at the bigger picture. So if you're currently struggling with knee pain as a runner, I want you to take this one thing away. And that, ironically, is stop looking for that one thing, that one stretch, that one exercise, that one type of shoe that's going to fix everything, because it probably isn't. Knee pain's hardly ever caused by one specific thing. It's a combination of a number of things adding to that bucket and causing it to overflow. So what you need to do is take a step back, have a look at the bigger picture. Where exactly is your pain? What does your training load look like? Is your recovery as good as it could be? Are you sleeping, eating, resting enough? Is the structure of your training week as good as it could be? Are you doing any strength work? Has that changed? Are you going through any sort of stress? Has your personal life changed at all? And start with what feels the most out of balance and fix that first. You don't need to solve everything at once. Small changes compound. If you can make little adjustments every day, they all build up and you get that snowball effect, and in no time you'll be feeling loads better and you'll be sprinting down the road without any knee pain. I've been through it myself. Knee pain doesn't just come on after one bad run or because you wore a specific pair of trainers during one run. It came from ignoring all the little things until they added up and caused a bigger thing. How many times have we said, oh yeah, it's just been a little niggle, I thought it would go, and now it's just really annoying and it's too much to continue running with? Pretty common, right? You've probably said it before, you've heard other people say it. You might have heard it with other injuries, but it's just human nature. People delay things until they really can't anymore, and that's when they take action. So try not to get to that point. So hopefully that's helped. It's helped you calm down, it's helped you understand things, and it's given you a bit of an idea as to how you can fix it. Remember at the start I mentioned your knee recovery score? If you head over to the link in the description below, fill out that, it'll give you a knee score straight away and a few tips on how to fix it. And if you want to learn more about running injuries and how to avoid knee pain at all while you're training, then watch this video here. Thank you for watching and I'll see you again soon.